Welcome. I'm Rob Kistner, President of the Digital Arts Experience, and I'm here with Christina Calabrese, Director of Operations of the Digital Arts Experience, and our special guest for today, Chris Dessi, CEO of Silverback Social. And I'd like to welcome you all to the maiden broadcast of Today in Westchester, the new web series that's going to be broadcast out of the DAE. Our web series is going to be focused on a couple of things. Firstly, we're going to talk a little bit about things that are going on at the DAE. We're going to talk about happenings in the digital world, and we're going to talk about happenings in the Westchester community. Thanks for coming and joining me today, guys.
Yeah, this is going to be great.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
So we're going to be talking today a little bit about what's been going on at the DAE over the last couple of weeks, as well as what's going to be happening over the next month or so. We're also going to be talking about the exciting new mobile operating system from Mozilla, and we're also going to spend a good chunk of time talking about the first ever Westchester Digital Summit, organized by this guy over here.
Yeah,
so
it's very exciting.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Chris also rents an office upstairs from us, and Silverback Social is actually based out of the Digital Arts Experience, so we're very lucky to have him be a part of who we are. But let's get into it. So over the past couple of weeks, what's some of the cool stuff we've had going on? We had Laugh Till It Helps. We had 8 stand-up comics under the age of 18 come and perform for a house of almost 70 people, and we raised just under $900, which we gave to the Family Services of Westchester, which is pretty cool. And stay tuned because we're going to be releasing a DVD of that performance as well. What else do we have going on here?
Yeah, gosh, so much happened in March, nonstop, but good stuff. We had the JDRF come in on a Sunday to work on an art project. The JDRF is the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation of Westchester County. And basically, this organization helps fund research for type 1 diabetes. So they came into our space. It was about 10 families or so.
Yeah, good number of kids.
And they worked on an art project that's going to be auctioned off in their spring gala. And it's going to be, all the proceeds will be donated to the JDRF.
Yeah, it was really nice, and I think they're actually planning on doing another event in the future with us. What else do we have going on? We had Brian Keith and Adriana Louise from The Voice perform in a concert that was organized by Keith Agency, which was really sweet. We had a really nice group of people for that. We also had the Westchester County Bar Association here. They held a CLE event. What else am I missing? We had so many things going on, it's hard to keep track of them.
We had a Toastmasters meetup. They used our conference room upstairs. It was about 10 to 15 people, and what Toastmasters is it helps people with public speaking and how to present yourself speaking in front of groups, basically.
Yeah, so as you can see, we had a lot of stuff going on. So stay tuned to our calendar because we've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up over the next couple weeks, including we have Startup Palooza coming, which Chris Dessi is going to be a panelist. And basically, Westchester-based startups get to come and showcase their business idea to a panel of serial entrepreneurs and business professionals that are all based locally. And it's going to be a little different than a traditional pitch-off. We're actually going to set up the businesses in sort of a trade show format. So all of the participants can kind of walk around the room, get a sense of what businesses are involved. And we're going to pick 3 that will then pitch to the panel, and we'll select a winner, and they're going to get a bunch of really cool prizes, including tickets to our startup weekend, which we're holding in May. Yep. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing a lot of really entrepreneurial focused events, which is really cool. Anything else that's going to be coming in?
Yeah, so on April 23rd, we're going to be hosting the Over 40 Females Westchester County chapter. The chapter director is Phyllis Hirschauer, and we've developed such a great relationship with her. We love having them in our space. They're going to have a luncheon here. The organization is great. It's a networking event for females over the age of 40, and it's just a great opportunity for them to get together and see our space. And
I think that's going to be an entrepreneurial event as well.
Which ties into everything we're doing this month. It's pretty
cool. The other thing that's really noteworthy that we're doing is we're also we've partnered officially with the International Film Institute of New York, and we're going to be rolling out a bunch of classes that they're going to be holding in our space, including a screenwriting workshop, a studio lighting class, and a commercial film production lab, which is going to be pretty cool. Chris, in your time here thus far, have you been a part of any of the events that have been going on? Have you noticed anything pretty noteworthy?
All right, so I'm going to back up because firstly I want to thank you for allowing me to be in the inaugural, sort of first show that we're doing here. I'm thrilled to be here. but I'm also thrilled to have the office space here because Rob did not touch on this, but while I was looking for office space for Silverback Social, I was lucky enough to come to the Digital Arts Experience because I wanted to hold an event of my own, like they just covered, that they're doing all these really exciting entrepreneurial events. And I walked into the space and I paused for a minute, I kind of looked around, and I don't know whether you can tell through the cameras right now, but the space is open, area, there's a great energy in the space. And I walked in and I noticed that they had a production studio, and then I noticed that they had a recording studio, and then I noticed that they had all this amazing equipment, and I said, do you have offices up here? And Rob's like, yeah, man, absolutely, upstairs. And I literally started jumping up and down. I was like, oh my God, I need to be in a space like this. This is incredible. Silverback Social needs to be in this environment. And since then, it has been an utter joy to be around all of you, to be a part of all the events, to see everything unfolding, to be a part of the entrepreneurial spirit that Rob has cultivated in Westchester in the Digital Arts Experience by virtue of us just being in a tertiary manner, touching some of the events that are going on and seeing the setup and meeting people coming and going. It stimulates us intellectually. We get excited about things. We all kind of feed off of it. We all support each other and leverage each other's expertise and learn from each other every day. So I wanted to thank you. So thank you for doing all of this.
Well, I mean, it's really a pleasure to have you guys be a part of what we are, because without you and sort of your spirit as a company, the Digital Arts Experience is just a space. We're really trying to position the DAE as sort of the hub in Westchester for all things digital and all things creative. And without the people involved, it's just a space. So I actually owe you a thank you as well. And it's really awesome having you here. So.
High fives, man. High fives all around.
All right, so now that we're done with the warm and fuzzy stuff, let's get to the tech world. So for any of you guys that have been keeping up with what's going on with technology, something really cool that I wanted to touch on is Mozilla, which is the company that makes Firefox, is actually going to be releasing a mobile device operating system. So they're going to be releasing a phone. And there's something pretty unique about this. So Apple, Android, Windows, and all of the other phone operating systems, they are software-based that are stored locally on the phone. What Mozilla is doing is their operating system is 100% web-based, which is going to provide some really unique opportunities for app developers. With Android or Apple, all of the apps are coded in a very specific programming language, which are frankly pretty difficult to learn. What's really cool about Firefox is everything is HTML5, so it sort of opens up a whole new world for app developers. Now, one of the things you guys might have been hearing in the news is that there are also some concerns in terms of security and a few other things. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, because it's an open sourced OS, that just leaves it so vulnerable to hacking and people cracking code and who knows what else.
I guess you hear so many stories about things like Evernote and Apple and the Sony PlayStation Network getting hacked. You know, one of my concerns would be, because it's a web-based system, everything on the internet is susceptible to hacking. So that's obviously one of the concerns.
For anybody that's watching right now, this is why I love being at the Digital Arts Experience, because half of that sounded like complete Greek to me, and I'm the social media guy, right? So all the technical stuff that happens and all the stuff when he starts talking about the cloud computing and the OS and the operating systems and they're using acronyms, that's why you have to come here and you say, guys, what were you just talking about? I wasn't necessarily certain about that. So yes, I think it's fascinating, and that's why you guys are the experts, right? We come to you guys and say, what's going on? I have no idea. This is incredible.
Something to learn every day, right?
Something to learn every day.
One of the other things that is a concern about the Firefox operating system is if you don't have an unlimited data plan, if it's completely web-based, there's obviously some issues with chewing up your data plan. So, you know, while it seems like a really cool system and it sort of opens up a whole new world to app development, you know, there are some issues. I mean, would it be something that you would buy?
It depends. I mean, I was watching a few videos online of the interface, and it's very similar to that of an Android phone or an iPhone, you know, swiping icons and everything. But one thing that I noticed that was really cool is they very much so integrated social media into the phone. So, like, your contact list, I know you can do this on an iPhone, probably Android too. You could import your Facebook contacts in your address book.
Pretty cool. That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, what's cool about the Firefox phone is also if you open up a contact, you can actually, there's an option to write on their wall.
Oh, wow,
Facebook.
Right from the address book?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So
that's
kind of
really cool.
Cool stuff like that. And
The other thought I had as well, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it's just something I've been thinking about, is if all of the apps are web-based, then potentially all of your data in those apps are going to be cloud-based. So if you're away from your phone or you lose your phone or something like that, you should be able to log into the site and access all of your app data. So there's like a pretty cool backup feature built into it as well.
How do you feel? Do you feel like you always, I mean, from my perspective, I tend to be an early adopter, but not too early. And I always feel like for these types of things with a new phone, it's like, let somebody else get it and let them work out the kinks in the first round and then wait for the second iteration. I don't know. How do you agree with something
I live
like
and die by that
okay.
statement.
Okay.
I'm always a big fan of
I'm
staying.
not saying that.
No, I'm with you. Stay one behind. Let everybody else deal with all the problems.
Let the charge.
Let
and
the
then
company
slide in afterwards.
You just go to the AT&T store and play with the phone for a half hour.
Right?
Get your fill. Look at all the issues. Let it get fixed, and then you get it next year
Still
or
interesting,
something like
Yeah,
that. But it is a totally new operating system.
Yeah, I also wonder about like the privacy settings. Like if it is so open and web-based, it's like, and everything's connected on the cloud. It's like, who has access to your information?
I think it'll be fascinating to see once it's sold and once it comes out and rolls out what the demographics look like. If millennials are adopting it because they're a little bit more free with their information and they don't really care. They're like, fine, it's on the cloud, whatever, let it happen. Whereas, perhaps Gen Xers, who says Gen X now? I don't even know. But like, my generation might not necessarily adopt it because they might be a little bit concerned about their information being in the cloud. Who knows?
I'd also be interested to see how long it takes for the available apps to grow to the size of the Apple and Android network.
Right.
Apple has
Apple
hundreds of
huge,
thousands of apps,
huge.
And Android's just behind them. I wonder how quickly they'll be able to catch up, particularly because the apps are built in an entirely different way.
Although, my first reaction was, oh, Apple's so huge, but the way these apps function and the viral distribution of them, they almost only need like one big app to hit, and then done.
It's done.
Right?
Yeah, they
like
need to have something
over.
unique, that's
and
different than
huge
everybody
different,
else. That's like functional, that you can sort of incorporate into your day-to-day workflow. That or something that relates to kids. An incredible game that's exclusive to the Firefox OS, and it's done.
Game over.
So we dragged you out here to be a part of this show. Let's talk about what you're doing in Westchester with the Digital Summit. The first ever Digital Summit. This is going to be amazing. If you guys haven't gotten your tickets, you got to go online, go to westchesterdigitalsummit.com and get your tickets. Do it now.
I feel like Crazy Eddie. I'm like, the prices are insane. You got to go to the Westchester Digital Summit.
You need like a wacky wing.
I know. Like an orangutan and a talking orangutan. I don't know. So here's the story for everybody that's watching. About a year and a half ago, I had learned of something called the Long Island Digital Summit. And I thought, wow, what a fascinating idea. Why not? Long Island is a suburb of New York. They had some really interesting speakers. I went to the website. I said, that's fantastic. I'd actually missed the time for the summit, so I didn't attend the summit. And I said, well, Westchester's got to have something similar, comparable. And I searched for Westchester Digital Summit, and I couldn't find it. And I literally just went to GoDaddy and typed in sort of handshaking Westchester Digital Summit. Said that it was available, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm producing the Westchester Digital Summit. I don't do conferences, now I do conferences, and there we go. It came out of what I felt was a need for the community. I feel like the networking groups that we have in Westchester are spectacular, but I had been exposed to national events by virtue of the work that I've done. I've been in digital marketing for 13 years now, and I've been able to go to San Francisco. I've been blessed to be able to go to these great events, and have gone to a lot of the events in New York City and just didn't see it happening in Westchester, which had me scratching my head. I mean, we're the 7th wealthiest county in the nation, and we have huge corporations here, and we have brilliant people that live and work in Westchester. Why aren't we gathering a national event that just so happens to be held in Westchester? And I kind of started the ball rolling. I made a phone call to my friend Gary Vaynerchuk, who had inspired me to literally changed the trajectory of my career in 2008. September of 2008, I saw him speak at the Web 2.0 conference.
Incredible speaker.
Blew my mind away. At the time, I was a VP of ad sales at a multinational, and I was kind of miserable. And I saw him speak, and I was like, wow, this social media thing is changing the way that we interact as human beings. I'm really excited about this. So I get into social media. So the first person I thought of to keynote the Westchester Digital Summit, of course, was Gary, because he motivated me. And I was a jaded executive. I'm like, listen, if he can get me as excited about social media as he did, wouldn't it be really cool if he got all of the local businesses, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and executives in the Westchester area to get excited about what was happening in the digital, from a digital perspective? So I said, all right, let me call Gary. Gary immediately was like, listen, I'm on board. He has family that are in Westchester. So he's like, absolutely, I'll keynote it. And once we got Gary to keynote, everything else just sort of fell into place. We got Facebook is coming to speak. We've got Publishers Clearinghouse is sending executives. We have the Washington Redskins sending an executive. We have IBM. We have the vice president of social for Ogilvy is going to be speaking. And then we've got some fun stuff. We've got, there's going to be free massages from Massage Envy with the local Massage Envy franchise from Mount Kisco and Bedford.
Yeah, you've got some great sponsors.
Yeah, we got some spectacular sponsors. We've got the Journal News as a sponsor. We've got the Business Council as an amazing sponsor. We've got Skyline Ventures is going to be a sponsor. We've got Heineken is going to be serving Heineken beer. Who can get better than that? We've got the Yonkers Brewing Company is going to be serving free beer as well. They're a major sponsor, which is really exciting. So we've got this mixture of old and new, standard business as usual in Westchester, as well as the new digital guys. We've got young people. We have high school kids that have signed up, and we've got C-level executives that have signed up to attend and to present. We've got, like I said, the free massages and some beer. We've got Gary is going to be ending it and keynoting it. We've got local news anchors. Dari Alexander is going to be sitting on a panel discussion. We've got Sports Illustrated writer Jeff Pearlman. He's a New York Times best-selling author. So the depth and breadth of the speakers that we've been able to curate has been thrilling. And I think, and I hope, from my heart of hearts, that anybody that attends has a similar experience that I had when I saw Gary speak, and it was sort of you get kind of getting hit over the head by a 2x4 and saying, gee, I didn't realize there was this whole digital ecosystem out there that I could tap into and leverage, and it's not exorbitantly priced. That if I just work at it, if I curate my own blog, if I curate a Twitter community, a Facebook community, I can do these things. There's also another sponsor called Hibu, and they're going to specifically be talking about how local businesses can leverage technology to stand out in the crowd within Westchester. So that's going to be a specific breakout session just for solopreneurs in Westchester. So, I mean, for me, it's thrilling to be able to say, listen, I had this experience in 2008. Like, come on, guys, come with me. I hope you have this experience too, because by the end of it, the vision is to sort of be all boats rise in Westchester, to be able to buoy the community in Westchester and say, okay, we want to, I want to hire a new web developer, and they go hire a web developer that might have his own business with 2 or 3 employees in Westchester. Or, gee, now I really need to go to the digital arts experience, and I need to record a podcast because a podcast is going to be really important and integral to my business. Or, holy moly, I don't even know what LinkedIn is. I need to come to one of the breakout sessions at the Digital Arts Experience and learn about LinkedIn. Or, gee, I work at a major corporation, a Fortune 500 that's based in Westchester. We need to really rethink our digital strategy because the guys at the Washington Redskins are doing some really exciting things, and I've got 10 things that I can go to my boss and I can have that conversation about. So my head is spinning. I'm thrilled to be able to bring it to Westchester, and the reaction within the Westchester community, I mean, you could tell by the sponsors. I mean, the fact that the Journal News, I mean, it was one phone call and they were like, we're in. We want to be a part of it. The Business Council, speaking to Marsha Gordon, we're in. We want to be a part of it, and we want to be involved. And it's been, frankly, not to sound too woo-woo, but it's been this beautiful experience, this sort of communal experience of Westchester businesses saying, okay, we're ready for it now. We're interested in it now.
I think what you're doing is really important, because I think as a whole, while Westchester small businesses are kind of like the key to the community, there is a huge lack of use of social media, use of digital media. They're all sort of behind the times, and they don't see it as a necessity. They see it as an option. And it's not an option, it's a necessity.
I agree. And I think, frankly, and I've had this conversation with you guys, and I had it with my employees, and I've been really aggressive with trying to get national speakers to come to the summit. Guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, who's on CNN, weekly. Guys that have a national footprint. Organizations like, companies like Poppin and PetFlow that are doing global e-commerce online to bring in a fresh perspective. And people, Chris, are you going to speak? No, I'm not speaking because, I shouldn't be speaking. People are sick of hearing from me in Westchester. They get it. I'm the social media guy. Super. We want to have outsiders come in and say, this is how digital is affecting companies from a global perspective, and we're going to be hosted in Westchester because we should be. We're Westchester County. I mean, come on. We need to own the value and the pedigree of what's happening in Westchester and say, listen, we are a suburb of one of the biggest major metropolitan hubs in the world. We should be hosting events like this. We should be playing host to these people, and they should be coming to us and learning within this community and giving back to this community. So yeah, it's absolutely thrilling.
So if you could sum up what you'd like an attendee to take away from the summit in one sentence, what would that be?
So I'm going to start off with the caveat that I am the worst at this. The worst. And
2 sentences.
I can't.
Slack.
It's not going to be sentences because, all right. I was quoted recently saying I want somebody to feel like they got hit over the head with a 2x4 of knowledge. And that's probably where I could start and end, because I don't know what I don't know about producing summits. And when I curated the speakers, I said, I just want to touch on digital. And I want people to think. I want people to be kind of spun around and say, I didn't think of it that way. I had no idea. So we didn't do a deep dive saying it's going to be search engine optimization, or it's going to be mobile marketing, or it's going to be social media. So when people ask me that question, it's a combination. It's like the fulcrum of all these things is I want people to learn more about digital. I want people to be inspired. I want people to get a little scared and a little uncomfortable and shaken up. And then I want people to experience something that they hadn't even conceived of before. That this is outside of the realm of the normal networking events. That this is outside of the realm of what they've experienced the past 15 years while meeting other business owners in Westchester. That they're going to be in an environment that's going to free them to have a conversation that they never would have thought of, or somebody's going to say, listen, I've learned a little bit about your business. You might want to interject this and that. And then their head is blown and they say, oh my gosh, my business was going this way. Now I'm going to go that way. Because that's what I experienced when I saw Gary walk out on the stage in 2008 and literally change the trajectory of my career and change the trajectory of the way I view business and the way I view life. I mean, literally life. I mean, it was one of those moments, it was almost like a Tony Robbins moment when Gary came out and one of his first lines was, there is no reason why today you should be doing something that you don't love. And what he was basically trying to say is, if you're passionate about something, why don't you take that online, and why don't you blog about it, and why don't you talk about it in these communities? Because if you're doing that, by virtue of doing that and having that conversation about something that you're passionate about online, you could potentially monetize it. And gee, isn't that exciting? And it was thrilling. I was like, oh, that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And, so that wasn't one sentence.
But it'll do.
I told you I'm horrible at that. I get too excited.
I didn't have time to write you a one-page letter, so I wrote you a 10-page letter.
There you go. Right, exactly.
But, I think what you're doing is really important, and I think it's going to be some huge steps towards changing the face of business in Westchester.
I hope so.
And this is why,
for the better,
we appreciate having you and Silverback Social involved in what we're doing here at the DAE. I just want to thank you guys for coming in, for our first ever webcast.
Yay!
And let's just take a second. I want to get the Silverback Social website and where they can find you on social media.
Sure. So I'm Chris Dessi, CEO of Silverback Social. It's silverbacksocial.com. The Westchester Digital Summit, very simply, is westchesterdigitalsummit.com. The Twitter account for Westchester Digital Summit is @WD Summit. My Twitter account is @CDessi. And the rest you can find. Just Google me.
Use Google.
Find a bunch of stuff. Yeah,
exactly. And Digital Arts Experience is www.thedae.com. Definitely subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Digital Art Experience, and on Twitter @the DA Experience. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next month.